Hey everyone, how you doing today? My name's Eric. I really appreciate you stopping by to check out my video today. On this episode of Smo'King, I'm going to show you how to take an inexpensive piece of meat, specifically a beef chuck roast, and turn it into something absolutely delicious that you didn't think was possible. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that with a long cook with my sous vide machine. Hopefully some of you stumbled across my video because you got one of these sous vide water circulators for Christmas, and you're looking for some recipes, and this recipe really is where the sous vide machine shines. It also cooks lean pieces of meat like, New York, filet mignons, absolutely delicious. But where it really shines is when you take an inexpensive piece of meat that's usually very tough and doesn't taste very good unless you cook it extremely long, like for beef stew in a crock pot, and turn it into something delicious with a different texture that you're not familiar with and a different taste you're not familiar with. That's only possible cooking it with the sous vide. I'm going to keep this real basic. We're going to season it with some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, some onion powder. I'm going to seal it in some food saver bags. I'm going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and into the bath it goes. We're going to cook this for a total of 22 hours. You're going to be absolutely amazed how delicious this comes out to. So watch the video, I'll show you step by step. Let's get cooking. So the first thing we got to do before we put these in the bag is season them, like I said. Now you don't have to use what I'm doing. You could use any kind of season. If you got a favorite barbecue rub or some other flavors, that's what's great about sous vide. Just throw them in the bag. You want to put some rosemary, some thyme, some garlic, whatever it is you like, stick it in there, experiment, That's what cooking's all about. But I made my last video in the sous vide. I made an eye of the round roast for some delicious sous vide roast beef, and I use these basic ingredients, so I'm going to stick with the basics here. So we're just going to take a little bit of salt. And this isn't rocket science. You guys now know how this works. While I'm doing this, I also want to give credit where credit is due. I got this recipe, like I did my last one, from Bear Carver, from a website I frequent called SmokingMeatForms.com. And he is the one that experimented with the times and the temperatures for this particular cook. And he's the one that did all the experimenting, and he finally came up with what he thinks is the perfect combo for this particular piece of meat. And he told me I'm going to be very impressed that in his mind this is one of the best things he's made in the sous vide, taking an inexpensive piece of meat and turning it into something delicious. So if it turns out great, I'll give credit where credit is due. If you want to check out that eye of the round sous vide roast, I'll leave a link below in the video description. So this is all I'm doing. I'm just doing a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. We're going to season this up on both sides. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to throw this in a sous vide bag. We want a little bit of moisture, so I'm going to throw in a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and then into the sous vide bath. I also should mention, if you got a real big fatty piece, you want to cut off some fat, by all means you can, but you want to leave a little bit of fat. And by nature, beef chuck roast usually has a lot of fat in it. So I'm just going to leave them just like they were in the package here. So let me finish seasoning the other sides of these, and I'll be back in a second when we get them sealed in the bag and get them ready to put in the sous vide. We'll see you in a little bit. So I have both of them sealed in the bag. I put a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, around 2 teaspoons, one on each side. Whoop. It's ready to go. Now we're going to cook this at 133 degrees for a total of 22 hours. If you go a little over 22 hours, it's not going to hurt it. That's another great thing about the sous vide. If you don't get it out till 24 hours, don't worry about 26 hours. It's not going to change it that much. It's going to maintain that perfect temperature. Now getting back to the liquid in here, I use Worcestershire sauce. That's my go-to when I make beef. You can use olive oil, you can put a little bit of beef stock, and like I said, it's not a whole lot of liquid, literally a couple teaspoons. We just want a little bit of liquid in there to help give it flavor as it starts to cook and break down. So, okay, 132 degrees, it just beeped. I got it at 22 hours, and now I'm just going to stick them in here. Now, as far as the bags, for these long cooks, anything over 4 or 5 hours, I always prefer to do a sealed food saver bag. You're less likely to get any kind of leaks. You can use some freezer bags, like some heavy duty Ziploc freezer bags. The only thing I'd recommend on these long cooks is just to protect yourself, double bag it, you know, because nothing's worse than waking up the next day really looking forward to a delicious meal only to realize that the bag has a leak in it and your water and everything is ruined. So like I said, to me, I prefer the food saver bags. If you get a sous vide machine, it's almost mandatory that you get some kind of food sealer system. Although it's not completely mandatory, you can use those heavy duty bags as well, freezer bags. So I'm going to push play here. My timer starts to count down. 22 hours. So now we just let the machine do its work. That's the great thing about sous vide. I'm going to maintain the water level. I'm going to keep an eye on it, add water as necessary, because you will get some natural evaporation. Before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to put some foil, or you can use plastic wrap. They even sell these little ping pong balls you can put in there to help kind of aid in not all the water evaporating, because if the water evaporates too low, obviously your food's not going to be completely submerged, and you can also damage your sous vide machine because it needs that steady flow of liquid. So that's it. I'm going to go enjoy a beer. So for my beer review today, Bass Ale. It says it's the world's first pale ale. This brewery was founded in 1777 in England. If you notice something unusual here on the bottom, it says product of the USA. They actually make this in the United States now because this company got bought out by Anheuser-Busch, the big beer company on the block, probably the biggest in the world, most famously known for Budweiser, which I can't stand, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, they took over, they bought it, I think sometime in the 80s, and yeah, now they're making it here because it's less expensive to make it here, obviously, than to make it in England and ship it over. Same thing with Beck's. I did a review, I don't even remember what dish, but the Beck's, although they say they use the original recipe, and I'm sure they say this with this one as well, seems like it was a little watered down from the old Beck's beer I used to get that was actually made in Germany. I'm going to see if this might be a similar case. I'm not sure. It's 5% alcohol. You can see it's got a very nice amber color, nice white head. Very mild smell, really mild aroma. I don't really smell much of anything, maybe a little bit of malt. That's about it. Again, guys, I really appreciate you watching my video. Thanks again. If you have any comment suggestions, please feel free to leave them down below. I'll try to answer every single one of them. Cheers. Okay. Mild, tart, malty flavor in the beginning, and a slightly bitter finish, I would say. Yeah, you know, I have to say it does seem a little watered down. You know, this beer is most commonly used, at least here in the United States, for black and tans. They mix it with Guinness. You know, where you have the two beers on top of each other. And I remember drinking a lot of this on tap at some local bars. And I remember they used to sell the big bottles too that used to be imported. And they seemed like they were a little stronger. I mean, it's still got the similar flavor, but it seems like it's a little watered down. It's kind of a bit bland. Kind of basic, you know what I mean? Not very distinctive. But it's non-offensive, it's very drinkable. So, you know, that's the thing with American beer drinkers. Most of the domestic stuff is so watered down, so bland. You get something with a little bit darker color, with a little bit more of a hops malt presence. People think, wow, that's a good, strong European beer. I can taste the difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll certainly drink it. I'm not going to turn it down, and I'm going to enjoy it, but I can definitely tell this is an American version of this beer, but it's good. Like I said, not my favorite, but it's pretty good. Anyway, 133 degrees, 22 hours. Just gonna let these things cook. That's the great thing about this sous vide, man. Just let it go. And you know, you got a party, you got people coming over, dinner party, you throw the stuff in, you get distracted, have a few drinks, get caught up in the conversation. It's not like you have to watch something. You can let it cook a little bit extra. It's not going to ruin it. It's just going to keep it level. That's what I love about these machines. So I'm going to enjoy this beer. I'll meet back with you here tomorrow in 22 hours. And we'll take this out and we'll do it, take it step by step, and we'll check it out and see how delicious it is. Thanks again for watching. Cheers. All right, here we are the next day. We're rapidly approaching the 22-hour mark. I wanted to have you guys take a look at what this looks like right now. It's much darker than it was yesterday, and you can see there's quite a bit of juices in there. So let me get these out and show you the next step. So it just started beeping here. So we're going to take one of these out. I'm going to show you what to do next. Now I made two of them here. I'm going to finish cooking one today for all you guys to see and to enjoy tonight. But me and my family can enjoy both of these. So the great thing about sous vide, I'm going to take the second one here. I'm going to put it in a container of ice to kind of shock chill it. And I'm going to put it in the fridge. And this can last 3-4 days easy in the fridge. Or you can even throw it in the freezer. And it's going to be good for up to 90 days. And all you need to do to reheat it is just heat up your sous vide machine again. Go 10 degrees under what you were cooking it at, just to kind of warm everything up. And then finish browning it, whichever method you prefer. So I'm going to grab the one here that we're going to enjoy tonight. You can see how much juice is in here. You can see quite a bit. Now I save that juice because I make a nice gravy. So don't get rid of the juices. That's all the flavors of the meat while it was cooking. So let's cut this one open and carefully remove it. See what we're working with here. Oh, it smells good. Now the only concern, I've never done this before, my only concern is I was planning on browning this on the grill, but I just didn't know how loose this piece of meat will be. Let me see now. Well, I guess I could do it on the grill. So there we go. Well, it's starting to fall apart a little bit there. Alright, so I'm going to save the juice over here. Now all you want to do, throw that away, is kind of dry it off with some paper towels. And it's perfectly cooked, but it doesn't look that attractive. If we cut into it, we'll probably see a perfect medium rare, medium color on the inside, pink, but the outside looks so unattractive. So we gotta brown it somehow. There's several different methods. I always prefer to throw it on the grill because you get a little bit of that grill flavor, which I love. You can also use a very hot saute pan with some olive oil, a little bit of butter. You can pour a little bit of that gravy in there. The drippings to kind of make a nice little sauce for it, or you can even put it in your broiler in your oven, you know, maybe 450, 500 degrees, just literally for a couple minutes each side just to get it nice and crispy. But I'm still going to plan on doing this on the grill, so I'm going to go fire up the grill. I'll show you the next step in just a minute. Alright, here we are. I threw it on the grill. Like I said, you don't have to cook this too long. Just literally a couple minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes on each side just to get a nice crispy coating on it. Like I mentioned before, you can see here in the middle, it's kind of separating. So you're going to be very careful when you handle it, especially when you take it off the hot grill. I actually have a spatula here I'm going to use as well as my tongs because I'm afraid it might fall apart because it is so tender. It's been cooking, you know, all that time. I can already see a little bit here where it's broken off. It's perfectly medium rare inside. It looks delicious. So I'm just going to finish cooking this. I'm going to flip it in another couple minutes and I'll meet you inside. We're ready to slice into this and of course give it the taste test. See you in a little bit. Alright, here we are, fresh off the grill. Just letting it rest for a few seconds here, a few minutes. Man, it smells wonderful. Got a nice crisp on it. Oh man, I'm I think I'm going to be very happy with how this came out. Just wanted you guys to get a good look before I slice into it. But I'm going to be doing that right now. Alright, here we are. Let's get busy seeing how this looks. Now this is boneless, so I'm just going to cut across here because this is a piece of fat here. I want to kind of see the inside. So I'm just going to make a clean slice right across here, just so we can kind of see what we're dealing with. Let's take a look here. Wow. Look how juicy. My goodness. Wow, I'm in chuck roast. Can you believe it? Look. This is stuff my wife was just telling me. We were talking about chuck roast, and she says, well, normally I try it. It's really good. You know, we made some beef stew, and it tastes really good. Only problem is the pieces taste all flaky and dry. So, alright, let me slice into this. This is definitely kind of strange sensation here because we're cutting this like a steak now, and I'm not used to this. But let me see. I don't know. I'm not going to go too thin. I don't want everything falling apart. There's a long cut here. It's kind of like I got two sections. Wow, it looks like a perfectly cooked steak. I'm going to cut it along the fat here, just so I could slice a few more slices. Wow, look at this. Look at how delicious. Okay, now comes the all-important taste test. First time ever trying sous vide chuck roast. So let me see. I can't believe how juicy it is. Crazy juicy. Alright, here goes. Wow. So tender. That doesn't taste. That tastes like a steak. Wow, it tastes like a perfectly cooked piece of steak, like maybe a ribeye. Wow, it's wonderful. And to think you can buy this so inexpensively and cook it this way. I am blown away. I definitely got to thank Bear Carver again for this recommendation. I can't believe how delicious. Well guys, as always, I appreciate you watching my video. If you like what you see, please give this video a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.